It's hard to believe, but we have been talking about Eurobadalla's rural land strategy for years now, and still the issue appears to be somewhat unresolved. Just one of the agenda items for our regular chats with Eurobodalla Mayor, Councillor Liz Innes. Good morning, Liz.
Morning, Jen. How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. But look, it was back in 2012, I think even before your time on council, that the Rural Lands Committee was first established to deal with what, clearly has been a contentious issue over the past. But let's pick up the trail in terms of the latest developments, Liz. We have the council release from 2 weeks ago that states council had identified a number of anomalies with the Rural Land Strategy LEP that had been signed off by the New South Wales government. So what's the current status of those anomalies?
Well, look, unfortunately, Jen, we're not in much more of a position than we were 2 weeks ago. As we said in that press release, the head of the department, Jim Betts, has given us his assurance that they'll work through and find out. Look, we actually still don't really even know what the changes have been. We certainly weren't notified of any potential changes before it was gazetted. So at this stage, Jen, look, we are just waiting to see. We're giving them enough time to work through it, and I can assure you, Jen, that as soon as we know anything, I'm more than willing to come on and let your listeners know exactly what has happened and what has occurred. But until we know more information, really, we're still in a bit of a holding pattern, unfortunately.
Okay, well, look, really appreciate that offer. And clearly, this isn't how it's meant to be. So we currently have a gazetted document that is different in substance on some important issues, it seems, to what council understood the document would contain. Is that
Look, that's correct, Jen. And as I said, unfortunately, we still don't know just exactly what those changes are. As I said, unfortunately, we're not in a position really to go into any detail until we know. It's very difficult for me to comment.
Sure.
It has been highly unusual. There is no doubt about that. But as I said, Jen, look, at this stage, more than happy as soon as we know, more than happy to come and let your listeners know exactly what has gone on.
Okay.
And exactly what those ramifications might mean.
So what does it mean in the meantime, I guess, for those landholders who might be, having developments, or is everything just on hold?
Look, Jen, even that question I'm not really sure of at this stage. And look, to be honest, what would have happened in the past, 2 weeks prior to it being gazetted, they would have been, any DA developments would have been assessed under that. And I am making an assumption here that if their properties haven't been impacted or haven't had any changes made, that we would go ahead and assess them under the gazetted LEP. But as I said, Jen, these are details that are just not across at this stage. But as I said, more than happy as soon as we know more detail, I'll absolutely come on and, give some clarity to our listeners. It
Certainly.
has been a very long, drawn-out process.
It has that, and I know that you've been in discussions with the department, presumably with Member for Bega, Andrew Constance, as well?
Yes, look, Andrew, what we've done, though, is there is still a bit of concern in the department themselves. They really are looking into this. They're not quite sure of what has transpired either. As soon as there's more clarity, Jen, we will absolutely get back to you.
Okay, well, it feels like there's really not much more we can add to that at this stage. We will obviously stay posted for any updates. But there has been some progress on the Makai Park development. Can you bring us up to speed?
Yes, well, Jen, we've lodged our DA, which is fantastic news. Obviously we've spent many years planning for this development and securing $51 million, which is, an absolutely incredible accomplishment. We've got our architect design. It's gone in for DA approval. Now, because it's over $30 million and council is the owner, it will go to the New South Wales Government Southern Regional Planning Panel. They'll be the one that will determine it. Now, council obviously has members on that panel, but our members will not have anything to do with that process, which is entirely appropriate. And, Council, we're aiming to have the tender for construction, as soon as we can get that DA assessed, and we hope that that will be either later this year or very early in 2020. So today is the final day that people could lodge a submission into about that, and they can still do that at the library. They can view the application at the libraries or on the website. And if people want to put in any submissions on that, today's the closing day, but, they're more than welcome to do that.
Okay, so there's still an opportunity to provide some feedback on how the detail of the DA. Look, I think it's fair to say there are still some people who have concerns that the life of this development is some 50 years and no potential, room for expansion. Still a push for not...
That's not actually true. There's people that are saying that.
Right.
Clearly, there is room for future expansion, and one of the things that, a bit of a representation is that we clearly said there should be room for a 50-metre outdoor pool into the future if that is required in the future, and there is space there, Jen.
So we can allow for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Jen, this is an incredible facility, and I think that once the dust settles, there are always people in our community that want more, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But the role and responsibility of council is to make sure, as we've said all along, is that we deliver something that caters for as many people in our community, but also is one that is affordable going into the future. And that is something that we are very conscious of. And, hopefully we'll have an incredible facility and we'll be able to add to it into the future as we need to.
It's certainly, a place of a great deal of change and transition at the moment, that part of Bateman's Bay. It's pretty exciting to see how much is happening there with the work on the bridge as well. But you're confident, in a sense, that the planning and the resources at this stage allow for as much future-proofing as possible.
Oh, look, that's right, Jen. There's no doubt about that. But let's not sort of get too far ahead of ourselves. This is a $51 million complex. This is, and I hope that you've been and had a look at the plans that are online at council, and you can have a bit of a fly through the video presentation. It's a very impressive complex, and I know that once it's built, our community will be absolutely delighted. So,
certainly the concept drawings and that the sense of a real hub in terms of both the performing arts and the aquatics. It's a really interesting model, and you can understand why people have a lot invested in it, and I guess want to make sure that it is the best that it can be.
Oh, exactly, Jen, and in that sense, council shares exactly that same view. It's in all of our best interest. And, look, at times when you have people with differing views, it can be a bit, can get a bit heated. People can get very passionate about these things, but there's none more passionate than our local community. And, they have been part and parcel of this process. We haven't always all agreed on every element of it, but as I said, at the end of the day, I think we're going to end up with an incredible facility, one which is going to be loved by our local community in the whole of the Shire for many, many years to come.
Building it is one thing. The ongoing maintenance and management is certainly another. Is council prepared and able to be able to pay for it?
Look, and that's exactly the point, Jen, is that we have been very careful in containing the running costs going forward. And as you know, the more elements that you add to that, the greater that your costs are. So council has made a commitment, and we continue to stand by this commitment, that what we deliver should not come at the cost of a rate increase. So we are being very conscious of ensuring that the ongoing running costs are affordable.
We've had some concerns raised about safety with regard to Bay Marina. Is this an issue that council has much involvement in?
Look, not really, Jen, and those issues were only recently raised last week. I am not sure. I haven't seen anything come across my desk raising those concerns with me personally. However, I am aware of it, and council will certainly be looking into it. So as I said, look, I haven't seen anything directed personally to me, but we will have a look at that and ensure that if there's anything that council needs to do, we will.
Now, I know Council has been a big supporter of the work that Sally Patey has done at Margots Zoo. What was your response to news that she has made the tough decision of selling the facility?
Oh, thank you, Jen. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to make comment on that. Look, what an incredible legacy and what an amazing powerhouse of a human being Sally Patey is. And you know what? The effort and the love and the passion that she has put into that zoo is just outstanding. And we can do nothing more than wish her the very best for her future. We know that she has taken so much care in who she passes this amazing love of hers onto. And so we wish the Featherdale Park, we wish their management all the very best and welcome them into the Shire. We know that, Sally will always have a piece of her heart here in the Shire. So all I can say is, wow, good luck, Sally, and, welcome to the new owner.
Yes, indeed. No, well said. Now, what can you tell me about Waterfront Weekend in the Bay? Sounds good.
Oh, it does. It sounds so much fun. So, look, we've been looking at ways where we can really activate the foreshore and not just for our visitors, which we love and we know that they bring, so much to our local economy. But this is also about making sure that the people that live in and live around Bateman's Bay get the opportunity to come in and enjoy the area. Now, we're just trialling some things and the local businesses have been really part of this. Now, Bateman's Bay Soldiers Club, for example, on Saturday night, and this is the 16th and 17th of November, this will be happening. They're hosting a open-air movie screening with The Greatest Showman, which will be fantastic. There's going to be some live bands, some exercise classes, some arts, and even a wildlife tour. So, look, people can jump online and have a look at the events and different things that are happening over that weekend. And it's just a way for us to say, well, okay, what are some of the ideas that we can bring forward? People certainly, at the same time, Council's going to be in the Francis Guy building, which is a building on the foreshore. There's a lovely old historical building that was restored. They're going to be in that space and talking to people, so encouraging people to take the opportunity to come in and say, well, what would you like to see? What would you like to see happen into the future? One of the ideas that was thrown up to me was there's these beautiful blow-up children's playthings, and maybe we could bring one of them in for the weekend and encourage all the kids to come in and have a bit of fun. So there's heaps of different ideas, Jen, and we're just saying to people, come on, let's see what we can get together and do as a community.
Provide some excuses to spend even more time walking that foreshore and enjoying what all that Bateman's Bay has to offer. Liz, we'll leave it there for now, but look forward to talking again in the near future.
Thanks, Jen, and you have a great day.
You too, Councillor Liz Innes, Mayor from Eurobodalla Shire Council.